Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of my Melandru's Accord Adventures! In the last episode, I got the legendary Defender of Ascalon title, among other things, and all this time leveling, and now at level 20, I've been using a completely bare, unupgraded armor setup. No insignia, no runes, nothing, and that's a lot of stats I'm leaving on the table, so I would like to change that in this episode. We're also continuing on with the Grail challenge, where I try to find every item in Pre-Searing, and if we take a look at my progress over there, you'll see that the least completed section I have is the runes and insignia section, so we're gonna be feeding two birds with one scone today, both upgrading my armor and ticking off new items in my coloring book. And since I'm a Melandru character and I can't trade, getting the good runes that I need can take a little longer than expected. For example, on my previous ranger, the marksmanship rune was literally the last rune I found to complete the entire section. Yes! That's marksmanship! That's the last one! I'm done with all the runes and insignias! So the goal for today will be to get one of the three most important runes. Either the marksmanship, wilderness survival, or minor vigor. Either one of these three will be a fantastic boost to my stats, and I'll talk about all the other runes and insignia I want later on in the video, so without further ado, I hope you'll enjoy. And to kick us off today, I have 15 unidentified armors that I collected while doing the dailies lately, and they're burning an absolute hole in my pocket, so I would like to identify them all and move on. That was also partly the reason why this is the topic of today's video. Anyway, I might not remember off the top of my head which runes and insignia I already have collected for my challenge, so I trust the editing Pre-Searing in the future to add the amazing pop-ups that I really enjoy. And let's get on with the identifying session. Just a reminder, we're especially looking for marksmanship, wilderness survival, and minor vigor. That's bone lace, virtuoso, artificers with attunement. Oh, we also get the pop-ups from the game, so that might be a little tip of which items are new. That's earthbound and attunement, virtuoso and divine favor. Hey, that's a new one. Brawlers, disciple with attunement, radiant, sentry, minor absorption with minion masters, survivor with attunement, blessed, wanderer, minor soul reaping with dreadnought, and the last one is wanderers with attunement. Very nice. None of the important runes were gotten, so on to Northlands I go. Actually, scratch that. Let's not go to the Northlands right now. One of the insignia I just got is the Survivor insignia, and I would like to keep that. I'd like to salvage it and attach it to my armor, and if I'm doing that, I would prefer it to be the armor I'm gonna use long term, so instead of going to the Northlands, let's do a quick intermission and let's get the full collector armor, shall we? Since you can't craft any armor in Pre-Searing, there is only two choices of armor for each profession. The basic armor you were born with, which is rawhide for rangers, for example, and the Krytan armor from the collectors, which has 2 more armor. For the dungeon enjoyers out there, the 2 armor actually might make a difference, because increasing your armor by 2 means you take roughly 3.5% less damage than you take now, so that's pretty decent. But for me, and for everywhere the Vanguard Initiate buff is active, the armor value is overwritten anyway, so the only difference between sets is purely cosmetic. And I like the looks of the collector armor more, so let's get the Krytan vest from Hatcher in Fortranic for 5 unusual seeds, the legs from Varys, also in Fortranic, for 3 spider legs, the gloves from Savage in Wizard's Folly for 3 icy lodestones, the boots from Carleen in the Catacombs for 5 Gargy Boy skulls, and finally the headpiece from Professor Yackington in the Secret Garden for 50 red iris flowers. And the reason this piece is so much more expensive than all the others is because of this line, items attribute +1. This effect increases the bonus of any attribute rune I insert in this mask by a further +1, so if I use a rune of minor marksmanship for +1 marksmanship, it would instead give +2 marksmanship. +1 wilderness survival becomes +2, you get the point. Fantastic effect, and it adds a little bit of depth to builds in pre-searing. Maybe a bit less for other professions, but especially so for Ranger. Alright, so now that I have all the armor pieces, it's time for the most important step, and that is to dye them all white. And now let's put this all on. And that is that classic signature look that I love so much. Full white dyed Kryta armor Ranger feels so good. Feels like I'm back home. So now that I have this brand new shiny set of armor, that begs the question, what do I do with my old armor? When I created this character, my intention was to keep the starter set because once you get rid of it, there is no way to ever get it back. But I prefer the look of the new armor. I don't see myself ever using the old rawhide set, and after playing this character for a few months now, I could firsthand experience how important inventory space is for Melandru characters, so I decided I will be deleting the old armor. I know I won't ever get it back, but 5 backspaces are just too important, so goodbye. And with all that done, it's time to salvage this survivor insignia finally, so let's use the char kit on the armor, salvage the survivor insignia, and the survivor insignia gives a health bonus dependent on the armor piece you use it on. It's 15 health for chest armor, 10 health for leg armor, and 5 for everything else. So since I only have one, let's put it straight on my chest armor, and that's plus 15 HP. And one last thing to mention regarding armor collectors before I completely move on is that the places I just showed myself obtaining my armor work for everyone, regardless of profession, but there are also some armor collectors that only offer their armor to specific professions and for a different price than the standard collector. So, for example, Kaylee here offers the chest armor to warriors and rangers for 3 Groll necklaces, but if I talk with her on my Necro, she won't offer me any armor piece. And on the flip side, necromancers can get their gloves from Gwen in the catacombs, but I won't be offered any armor on my ranger. Anyway, it's the exact same armor you can get from other collectors. This is just a different, sometimes cheaper way to get it, and I thought I'll include it because it's pretty cool. Okay, now I can go to the Northlands, and while I'm farming for some unidentified blue armors, it's a perfect opportunity to talk about the ideal set of runes and insignia I'm looking for. For insignia, the choice is very simple. Since the Vanguard Initiate buff overrides any bonus armor values, that means there is only 2 insignia in pre-searing that offer any bonuses. And that is Radiant, which gives energy, or Survivor, which gives health. And since one of my long-term goals on this character is the legendary Survivor title, for getting a lot of XP without dying, I'm gonna go with the health, at least until I get that title. For runes, you already know I want 1 marksmanship, 1 wilderness survival, and 1 minor vigor. And for the remaining 2 slots, I'm gonna go with the remaining 2 attributes, expertise and beast mastery. The other 2 choices would either be attunement for +2 energy, or vitae for +10 health. And if I had a max damage bow, I would probably go with one of these instead of beast mastery. But since I don't have a max bow and probably never will, I do less damage, the fights take longer, and my pet's contribution to the fight is greater than for a typical reforged mode ranger, so I think increasing beast mastery is worth it. I'm a few runs in, no unidentified armors yet, but here's the first purple of the video, a purple reinforced buckler. And another new purple shield, this time it's a school shield. And actually, interesting thing about shields is for the longest time in pre-searing, shields were pretty much strictly worse than a foci, because the base armor of shields was cancelled out by Vanguard Initiate, and the energy bonus of focus items wasn't, so technically a perfectly rolled focus was much more useful and expensive than a perfectly rolled shield. But in the Forsaken Tunnels, the Vanguard Initiate buff doesn't work, so we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence of shields because everyone's scrambling to get even a little bit more armor. And the Mass Chest doesn't drop shields with armor bonus versus char as far as I know. So for the top of the top high-end shields, Northlands is still the place to go, it seems. Hey, there's a blue armor. I swear, when I'm not paying attention to them, they drop left and right, but as soon as I'm actively trying to get one, they just don't exist all of a sudden. For some context, here's all the purples that I got today before getting one armor. Anyway, what's it gonna be? Heralds with minor absorption. Took a short break from the Northlands to do today's Vanguard quest. If you're curious, Utini just got whooped. Anyway, this is going to be a very cool milestone for me. If you take a look at my Survivor title track, I have 85,783 XP in there. That was the moment I died to Hamnet bandits from not paying attention. And if I check my /deaths counter, I have 84,900 XP since last death. So when I turn in this quest, the Survivor title track will move again for the first time in 3 months. I officially recovered from that death and I'm progressing the title again. Feels really good. Another blue armor. Mildly interesting, but Guild Wars was just updated with some mobile fixes and some changes to post, and there is a little bug going on right now where if I open my inventory, I cannot see or interact with any of my weapons or my armor, and I can't even see my character model. All the items still give their stats, and I'm sure this will be fixed pretty soon, so it's not that big of a deal, but if I got a good rune right now and I wanted to apply it to my armor, I literally can't do it because of this bug, which is pretty amusing considering the topic of the video. I thought of a possible workaround to this. We could go to a collector again and get a spare armor and just double click it to equip it, so then I would get my old armor in my inventory and I would be able to apply a rune or an insignia to it if I got any. I don't have any, okay, I just kept thinking about it. And I mentioned it on Discord, and apparently if you double click an item to equip it, your game crashes. So that's not great. Okay, that's enough bug hunting, let's go back to char hunting. I just like documenting them because they will most likely never happen again and they're interesting, at least to me. Awesome, got a new item for the blue section, that's sickle. Here's the salvage kit, very nice, this is my third one. So I guess I'm still at the stage of calling out every single one that I get, but one day I will have many more of those, and then we can start working on that rare salvage section. Editor pre-searing, I would like to request a drum roll, please, for a completely brand new segment. Identify-a-thon across Ascalon. We have 6 beautiful zones of pre-searing Ascalon, and I have 6 unidentified armors over here ready to be identified. So first off, in the cozy town of Ashford, we get Artificers and Vitae. Next up, in the gloomy depths of the catacombs, we get Domination and Stormbound. In our location number 3 among the Green Hills of Green Hills County, we get Radiant. Climbing on from the Green Hills to the frosty peaks of Wizard's Folly, we get Aeromancer. There is also okay, there is also another yak here. I always canonically referred to her as Yackington's girlfriend. Very nice sight. I just hope she's not lonely here. Moving on to our penultimate location, Regent's Valley, the home of the Rangers. Ideal place to find some Ranger runes, maybe? We get Radiant with Attunement. And finally, across the Great Northern Wall in the dangerous Northlands, we are identifying some Flame Wielder trappings. which, as I'm reminded from the studio, only drop from one enemy in the entire Northlands, so they will surely contain something special. We get water magic and brawlers. So no luck with ranger runes, but at least it was fun. I hope you enjoyed this little Identify-a-thon, I know I did. And also, doing that got me over 50% completed in my spreadsheet, so we're halfway there with the challenge. Yay! Yo! Purple accursed icon, that's super rare. And we got the diamond skin. What's inside? Pretty mediocre mod, but super cool find. Here's a purple horn bow. This is, for some unknown to me reason, the rarest bow type in pre-searing. It's also the most useless, so maybe that's good. And also, by extension of that, this is the last bow type that I needed for the entire collection. Well, all the purple bows anyway. There is one blue bow that I still need, but we'll get that another day. Axfiend armor, show me what you got. Ooh, another survivor. That's pretty nice. Salvage it, and straight to my leg slot for plus 10 HP. Beastmaster's insignia, together with a lovely view. Survivor insignia, that's number 3. Plus 5 HP, give it to me. That might be the difference between life and death one day, you'll see. Okay, last one, then I'm taking a little break from the Northlands to do something else. Axfiend armor. Fun fact, Axfiend was my nickname back in high school. I'm just kidding. I played World of Warcraft back in high school, I didn't use any deodorant. Ooh, fire magic. That's pretty nice. That would be worth a good bit of money if I was trading. So, about that break, it's been 5 days since the last clip, and I wasn't able to play much. Life tends to do that in the pre-searing household. But an event started in Guild Wars recently, the Wintersday in July, and that means we get some event drops. None of these give any stat bonuses, so I won't go too hard on farming them, but it's a perfect opportunity to do something else for a bit. And what could be more fitting for Wintersday than my favorite pre-searing farm of all time, the Wizard's Folly Ice Elementals. It's just so chill, I could just zone out and do this for hours, especially after a rough day at work. And it's gonna be good to restock on icy lodestones a little bit. Bonnie is feeling a little unwell right now. She has a bit of an inflammation in her ear, so she has to take medicine for it. And just take a look at this. Bimbon. She just eats it. Incredible. Okay, I'm fully chilled out. I got like 100 icy lodestones. That was a nice evening and a half. Now back to the Northlands. Jeweled Chalice! Purple Jeweled Chalice! I'm supposed to be taking a break right now, so for good narration reasons this will be after the break segment, but come on, I just had to record this. I've got another 5-pack of armors over here, another 5 chances for either marksmanship, wilderness survival, or minor vigor. Ooh, there it is! There's the minor vigor. Awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very glad we got the minor vigor, but very deep down, I was secretly hoping it would be one of the other two, but well, that just means I'll be even more excited when I get one of those. And now, let's salvage the minor vigor. And put it, of course, on my chest armor for plus 30 HP. And with that, since I completed the goal I set for myself for this episode, I will be wrapping up here. We're finishing 60 HP healthier and with no ranger runes in sight, but that's fine. I'll just get them another time during another grind and be very happy about it. But I also got a lot of progress done with the Grail challenge. We started the episode with 67 items filled in my imaginary coloring book, and now I'm at 96. 29 new things found, probably the most I'll ever get in a single episode going forward. And I even got a few rare ones, so that always feels good. Anyway, with all that being said, I'd like to sincerely thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you'll have a wonderful day. And I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.